I couldn't believe it. The Sunny Pines HOA was in the middle of constructing 96 luxury homes on my land. My very own inherited farmland. But everything changed when I unearthed my grandfather's original property surveys. Suddenly, their entire development, it legally belonged to me. You should have seen their faces when I revealed my trap, right at their own community meeting. Shocked wasn't even the word. Never in my life did I think I'd have to fight for land that was already mine. But when Grandpa Joe passed away last March, I inherited his 200-acre farm just outside Meadow Creek. That land had been in our family for generations, holding years of hard work, history, and memories. I, on the other hand, lived far away, buried under the chaos of city life and a demanding job, which, admittedly, kept me from visiting as often as I should have. But all that changed with one phone call. It was 6 a.m. on a Tuesday when my phone rang. Half asleep, I barely registered the caller ID, Mrs. Thompson, Grandpa's neighbor of 40 years. Her voice shook with urgency. "They're building houses on your land," she practically shouted. "Big yellow machines digging, tearing things up. Started yesterday. You need to get here. Quick." At first, I thought maybe she was mistaken, that some construction crew had accidentally crossed a boundary line. But Mrs. Thompson? She wasn't one to exaggerate. "The Sunny Pines folks put up signs everywhere," she continued, anger bubbling in her voice. "They're planning nearly 100 houses. Right where your east fields are." That was all I needed to hear. I grabbed a suitcase, threw in whatever clothes were closest, and hit the road. 5 hours. That's how long it took me to get to Meadow Creek, pushing speed limits the whole way. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I turned onto the familiar dirt road leading to Grandpa's farmhouse. The peaceful countryside I once knew, gone. In its place, a construction zone. Heavy machinery rumbled like thunder. Thick dust clouds twisted in the air as I crested the hill that overlooked the eastern part of the property. My heart sank. A swarm of bulldozers and excavators tore into the land where Grandpa used to grow corn and soybeans. Workers in hard hats moved like ants, marking areas with neon orange spray paint. And then there was a massive sign near the road. Future home of Sunny Pines East, 96 luxury homes starting at $450,000. My blood boiled. I parked, barely able to control my anger, and stormed toward the woman who stood apart from the construction crew. She was pristine, spotless beige pants, a crisp white blouse, not a single strand of hair out of place despite the dust swirling around us. She clutched a clipboard in one hand, a phone in the other, speaking in a tone of authority. The moment she hung up, I stepped forward. "Excuse me," I said, voice tight with barely contained fury. "What exactly is happening here?" She gave me a once-over, her expression unreadable, like I was some door-to-door salesman wasting her time. "We're preparing for a residential development," she answered smoothly, her voice all business. "Diane Reynolds, Sunny Pines Homeowners Association president." She extended a hand, but there was no warmth behind it. I didn't take it. "This is my land," I stated firmly. "My grandfather, Joe Miller, owned this farm. He passed away recently. I inherited it." Diane's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "There must be some misunderstanding," she said, almost as if she pitied me. "Sunny Pines Development purchased this parcel last year. We have all the proper permits and approvals." I shook my head. "That's impossible. My grandfather would never have sold this land." Her lips pursed. "Perhaps he didn't tell you?" she offered, tilting her head slightly. "The sale was finalized 9 months ago. This expansion has been in the works for years." My mind reeled. Grandpa had been sick in his final months, but his mind? Sharp as ever. There was no way he sold his beloved farm without telling me. Something wasn't right. "I need to see those documents," I demanded. Diane handed me a business card, already dismissing me. "Feel free to contact our legal department. But I assure you, everything is in order." With that, she turned away, phone in hand, already moving on to her next call. I stood frozen as machines continued their destruction, chewing up the soil that had sustained my family for generations. Back at the farmhouse, Mrs. Thompson waited on the porch, a pitcher of iced tea in hand and worry etched on her face. They started showing up about 3 months ago, she told me. With measuring tools, paperwork, your grandpa was furious. Kept saying they had no right, that they were trying to take what wasn't theirs. I swallowed hard. Did he ever mention selling? Mrs. Thompson's eyes filled with tears. Never. Joe swore this land would stay in your family forever. She took a shaky breath. The day before he went to the hospital, he was in his office, looking through old records.
Said he needed to find something.
Something important. I knew what I had to do. Grandpa's office had remained untouched since his passing. The moment I stepped inside, the familiar scent of pipe tobacco and old books wrapped around me. The walls were lined with shelves packed with farming almanacs, family photo albums, and decades of meticulous records. Grandpa wrote everything down: rainfall amounts, crop yields, equipment repairs. But where would he have kept property records? The filing cabinet was the obvious choice. I dug through every folder, every drawer. Hours passed. The sun dipped below the horizon. Just as frustration threatened to consume me, something caught my eye: a loose floorboard under the desk. I pressed it with my foot.
It moved.
Heart pounding, I knelt down and pried it open. Inside, a metal box. A key dangled from a nail beneath the desk. My fingers trembled as I unlocked it. Inside, I found it. The original farm deed. Grandpa's will, naming me as sole heir. And then several yellowed property surveys. But the most important thing? A letter, addressed to me, in Grandpa's unmistakable handwriting. If you're reading this, it began, someone's trying to take what's ours. I gripped the paper tighter as I read on. Grandpa had known. He'd fought developers for years. They had pressured him, manipulated him, sent people to deceive him. In his final months, a man from Sunny Pines had come around repeatedly, claiming he needed a simple signature for a road easement, bringing different papers each time. I never signed away my land, Grandpa wrote. If they say I did, it's a lie. He directed me to compare the 1910 survey with current county records. When I did, my breath caught. The original survey showed Grandpa's farm was nearly 280 acres, not 200. Over the decades, 80 acres had disappeared from our records. And that wasn't all. According to these documents, the Sunny Pines development wasn't just on our land. They had built part of their existing neighborhood on what was rightfully mine. At dawn, I knew exactly what needed to be done. First, I needed a lawyer. Then, I needed to teach Diane Reynolds and her HOA a lesson they'd never forget. They thought they could steal from my family. They were about to learn just how wrong they were.